Welcome to Brave Together podcast, an empowering resource for the parents of children with disabilities, neurodivergence, and all unique needs. You keep coming back to like humor and playfulness, and I think that's something that we just minimize the importance of.
Yes, I think it is one of the highest priorities.
I'll never forget one time we had a date night away and you were like, you're going to jump on the bed. You're going to order Taco Bell at midnight.
Yes.
Maybe go get some cigarettes. Like, I don't know. You're just like, just go and be silly and play and just don't worry about everything for one night.
Yes.
Hi, Bravies. It's me, Jessica Patay, and I am so excited to introduce this episode. It's an expert episode, number 228, and we're going to welcome Chrissy Barlahan, who is a board-certified assistant behavior analyst with a degree in psychology and a master in marriage and family therapy. She is a gifted therapist that Chris and I had the joy of working with years ago. We love how direct she is, but in such a loving, gentle way. She definitely shoots straight, and we really appreciate that about her. She works from an emotion-focused perspective, which she says it guides a lot of her couples work because it focuses on learning to communicate with one another in a way that provides comfort and security. We really loved working with her, and one thing we thought that was missing on the podcast was having a marriage relationship expert infused into each season. So we are so happy to bring Chrissy to today's episode. Together in our conversation, we delve into the complexities of parenting and marriage in the context of caregiving. And Chrissy offers her insights on maintaining strong relationships, not overlooking the siblings, and the unexpected moments of joy that make the journey worthwhile. Please remember to join our free community at wearebravetogether.org. To support our growth of the podcast, please rate and review this podcast and share episodes that really inspire you and lift you up. And of course, check out our full episodes weekly on the We Are Brave Together YouTube channel. Now, please enjoy my conversation with the always comforting, very intuitive, and humor-seeking Chrissy Barlahan. Well, hi, Chrissy. We never thought we'd be doing this together, did we, a few years ago? No. Welcome to Brave Together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you.
So nice to see you, too. Well, why don't we tell our audience what makes you particularly interested in our population of parents navigating altered parenting?
I guess before I was a therapist, I did behavioral therapy. And so that was like the first whole half of my career. And I was working in schools, I was working in homes. And so I saw a lot of different dynamics between family and couples and siblings, teachers, all of it. And so I think that work has shaped the work that I do today.
I think it's helpful for parents coming in to your office to know that, who, are like Chris and I, because you have a greater understanding of what our families go through.
Yes, absolutely. And I think from a really personal front in that you're considered part of the family, and so you're really sort of in it in a way that you can't really know unless you know.
Right. So true. So true. So what is the number one complaint or number one emotion? Well, two different questions, I guess, that you see, whether it's an individual, a parent coming on their own or a couple coming in together needing help. What stands out to you about our population of parents?
So the first one, if someone is coming in individually, typically I'll get a mom, and it will honestly be a mom waiting for their husband to get on board as well. And so in the meantime, a lot of what I get is moms will be like, I don't care if he won't come, but I need this, and maybe I'll convince him one day to join
Mm-hmm.
in. And so I get a lot of that. And then couples, it's a lot of like burnout. It's a lot of like, we are business partners functioning in a well oiled machine of a household, and it becomes really difficult to connect. And so a lot of times I'll get couples during transitions when like kids are transitioning into doing something different or something else, and then they're kind of like, whoa, okay, wait, we forgot about us.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense to me. When you say that, often it's, a mom, a woman coming in and hoping her husband will get on board, is that getting on board with some of the things that they need to figure out as parents, or just coming to therapy? Because men are, I'm stereotyping, but men are more resistant to going to couples therapy than women are, usually.
It's a little bit of both, honestly. I think therapy, not for everybody, but for a lot of clients that I get, therapy is like their last resort. So people are coming in bleeding, and you have to like tie a tourniquet basically. And so when people come in and they're like bleeding and sort of desperate for answers, or desperate for help, or desperate for comfort, or to be seen, and they can't get their husband on board for whatever reason, either like they're weary about therapy or scheduling, or they're not bought into it, or whatever the case may be, then like a mom will typically be like, I'm bleeding out, and I can't bleed out anymore. And so I'd rather get some sort of short-term solution, even if it's just me.
And do you see anything that might change a partner's point of view and help them soften or open to the idea of couples therapy?
Typically, there will be changes in the dynamic because the wife is learning how to navigate in a way that is different than what was before. And so when changes are visual and that they're like happening live in the home, then typically like a partner will be like, okay, things are a little different, and that's a good thing. And so maybe I could buy in too. And or like a mom will often like relay like, I think you'll like it, like it's not that bad, this is what you can expect. Someone blazes the trail, so to speak.
Okay. So switching gears, we can list off all the reasons why marriage, a healthy, strong, connected, intimate marriage, is hard in the midst of caregiving. There's financial strain, right? There's disagreements on how to spend, based on what your child needs. There's, complete exhaustion and, just lack of couple time. You have different coping styles, right? You might grieve differently or grieve at different paces. And then you're more isolated. And so there's also relationship changes. So maybe couples that you used to spend time with, or families that you used to spend time with, have shifted because it's just too hard with your child for medical or behavioral, psychological reasons. And then, we just process all of this differently. Again, I'm stereotyping between men and women, and just between partners, just between humans, right? So those are very obvious. And I'm not saying anything that anybody doesn't know, but is there anything that might be surprising? Like, well, there's actually this that I see that happens between couples, and we're not talking about it enough.
It's interesting because the couples will often have it down. Like, it's, as an adult, you kind of like, you figure out how to navigate you know how to prioritize things and navigate in a way that's like A plus B equals C. And so what happens is the couples fall really into this pattern of like, well, we just need the household to function. And adults are typically good at function or high functioning when they need to be, and when they need to make things work, and they have to make money, and they have to get the kids to school. But I think actually shockingly, what a lot of people don't see is like the sibling dynamic, and how the family as a system, that the siblings really are the ones sort of struggling in the dynamic of it all. And so it's like the couple knows what to do, and so they do it because they have to. And they're okay with letting the emotional part go or the intimacy part go because they have to do what they have to do. But siblings don't often have, especially younger siblings, like the wherewithal to know, like, we have to function as a well-oiled machine. And so where does that leave me? And I think often couples face challenges with siblings and don't know how to navigate those pieces, and hoping that like everyone just like falls into the cog of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure as a parent. And you certainly know our family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something within you that says subconsciously, the others have to be okay.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not saying that out loud. You're not saying you have to be perfect and well behaved and get straight A's or do well in school or just all the things, fall in line. But there's something on a subconscious level that's like, just please be okay.
Yes. Because the parents can't afford for them not to be okay. You know, that like they're often dealing with like really, truly like very scary things and scary medical things. And so like, I don't know, everyone's just like one moment away from like falling apart, you know? My youngest had to get his blood drawn, and I almost passed out. It was a literal nightmare. And I cannot imagine like any level greater than that. And I know that like many people deal with that and hospital stays, and I just like would be in a complete state of passing out all the time. And so I don't know, I can't imagine the times that I could barely hold myself together, that I would also have to hold a family together. It's like everybody better stand on their own because I'm about to pass out on the floor.
Well, you would,
Sure.
because you had to. You'd figure it out. You'd toughen up. You'd look the other way. I don't know. You'd figure it out because you're quite capable and quite gifted. So.
I'm gonna pass out. Like, I have to make my husband like, you hold him. I can't.
Yeah, having to hold a child down for a blood draw, that's terrible. Yeah. Terrible. Yes, yes, yes. What do you wish, like, you could talk to parents early in their journey? And we're kind of going off topic, but I love the sibling, I'm passionate about the sibling experience. So we're going to just go there anyways. If you could talk to parents early on in their journey, what would you impart to them to like, please remember the siblings?
That this experience of a family will make the siblings better people, and that they will have a unique experience that will make them incredibly soft to the rest of the world, and to protect that in them. They just have this like unique built-in level of empathy that they will need to protect and safeguard as they get older, and to treat each child as if they have their own journey and story, separate from each other, but also together as well.
Thank you for that. The statistics that people hear are daunting, right? When you find out, now I'm in the world of disability, and they hear, about the divorce rate and all of that. If there are already cracks in the foundation of the relationship to begin with, do couples stand a chance against the strain and stress and exhaustion that caregiving alongside parenting brings?
I mean, I wouldn't do this job if I didn't think that was possible, And I have seen so many stories of people that they really come together, not without hardship for sure, but I think every couple has like the one thing about their relationship that's like very sacred, that like brought them together in the first place. And I think if you can keep that sacred space sacred, then you'll be fine. So like for me, if my husband and I are ever going through something challenging and we stop like laughing or like stop telling jokes, or like we have like our very special like time of like watching really trashy TV and obsessively analyzing it together and laughing about it. And we know that when that kind of falls off, that something's off, right? That if a joke doesn't land, we're like, okay, something's off. Because that's for us, that's like the essence of our connection, is our ability to make each other laugh in a way that's like very nuanced, that like no one else could understand. And so that's sort of like the tie that keeps us together. But that doesn't have to look like that for everybody. But I just say that like the thing that's like your thing, you have to keep it your thing.
That's good. That's good. Are there any myths that you would wish to dispel, whether that's about marriage or about marriage for couples like Chris and I?
I would say that like, and I don't know if this is a myth or not, but I think when people first get any level of diagnosis for anything, you watch your entire life that you imagined like disappear. And you don't know what to look forward to next. And you don't know what, like, you don't know what to hold on to. And I would say that, like, it's not all bad, you know? I think maybe that is what I would say, is that, like, there's actually a lot of joy. There's a lot of, like, silliness. There's a lot of, like, hilarious things that happen. There's a lot of, like, redemption. There's a lot of learning. It's not all bad.
True. That's true. And we need to hear that at the beginning for sure, because all you're thinking about is, this is the path that I was on. Now I'm on this new path, and it feels very scary and it feels very unknown. And I'm grieving what I thought family life would look like. And now, now what do I do? And then all the what ifs and the wondering, I always say, like, yeah, that goes on. Yeah, we do need to hear that there will be joy despite what you think, despite how the diagnosis was delivered to you. There will be joy in this journey.
Yeah, and not just joy, but like hilarious, like fun, like, like things that you can't make this up, and it was so funny for the family, and like, like there's,
yes,
you will get moments that feel like family.
Yeah, true. Kate was laughing the other day on text, I think. So we hide the garage clickers because there is a fridge out there, and it's not locked, and it's not an easy fridge to lock. It's like a smaller fridge that doesn't have handles. You just kind of like pull it open, right? So it's not an easy one. We've had it now for a couple of years. I don't know why we haven't figured it out, but we have to hide the clickers because of this, right? There are no clickers to the garage in the family room. Luke and Kate have their own clicker. And I was texting something about the clicker. Kate's like, if you just look at this, it looks like we're talking about a gun or something. Like, our life is so crazy, the way we have to navigate this. Like, if you just step outside, the way we talk about things, it's nuts. And I mean, honestly, I think it would be such a fun podcast episode if we just had like 20 people call in their funny little thing that's just part of their life that is so nuts, right? Yeah. Because there are like these really nutty parts of our lives that we have to laugh about.
For sure. I think I had a client one time where the same thing, they had to lock the pantries, and they came downstairs one night that he had gotten in, and there was just like only 15 bananas that were just like fully everywhere. And it's funny because I don't know, like, when do you come downstairs and like 15 bananas are fully gone and there's peels everywhere? It feels like a scene from Jumanji. And it's silly in the way that only you could understand within the context of like that family, How
would you suggest, and us, like, how would you suggest to families to find more humor amidst the chaos and beauty of parenting when it feels like life is so serious for us?
It's hard. It's hard because you have to know that things are going to be okay. And that's not often something that people know. And so if you know that things are going to be okay, then the moments in between don't feel so heavy. But if you're living in a space where you don't know if things are going to be okay, then everything that you do and everything that happens, you assign meaning to it. Of like, okay, so this happened. This is what I'm going to deal with forever. This is what it's easy to go down a path of fear if you don't trust that things will be okay.
Mm-hmm. How do we trust that things will be okay? Or how do we make peace with the unknown so that we're not ruled by it? Just racked with so much worry and stress. There's nothing we can control, right? I mean, yes, I can control Ryan's diet. I can keep the kitchen locked and keep him safe. Yeah, there are some things I can control. The big picture, no, I can't, right?
Yeah, it's hard because everyone's like reason for fear is different. And so the thing that would comfort me might not comfort someone else. And so it's like it's very individualized, but I feel like if I had to generalize it, I would say like keep going till you find out, you know? Like and I think so for me, the idea of like I know that things are going to be okay has been a lifelong journey of like figuring out why my particular fears, like I don't need to worry about them. So like if I'm super afraid of like not having enough money, then there will be this like history in my life and current that's like me kind of wrestling with that. And all I do is like push forward to keep going till one day I get to a place of like, oh, like I don't need to worry about this anymore because I've had so much experience that says that's going to be okay.
I see. I
Right.
see.
And so like if a parent is struggling with a fear of like, I don't know, I can't trust that things are going to be okay because I don't know if I'm being a good mom. Well, like keep putting enough coins in the deposit to find out if that's true. And then when you get to a place in your life that you're like, no, like I know this because I've been doing it enough, I have enough evidence, I have enough proof to say I don't need to worry about that anymore because I can trust myself enough in the future to like handle these situations. So it really is very nuanced. Like it depends on what it is that you're afraid of and why the belief that you're not going to be okay exists in the first place.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's important to really think about and dive into.
Yeah, and I
Really,
think
really.
it's hard because the thing that you're afraid of for the future is typically something you've always been afraid of in general. It's going to be highlighted in having a kid with disabilities, but it's not going to be the only thing that's ever existed in levels of fear internally.
If you could create something for couples, whether it's a resource or an experience or an opportunity to help support couples like Chris and I, or any couple in the disability world, because I'm highly aware of my privileges. So that's why I don't want to just say like me and Chris.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would do? Like, let's just wave a magic wand. Like, this is what I've seen. This is what I wish I could do. What would that be? Have you thought of that?
Again, everyone has their own thing that like binds them together. But often what I'll tell couples is like, all right, I want you to start watching a season of Love is Blind. And I want you to watch it and like both of you just fully make fun of these people. And I don't know, like it's about like coming together and like completely checking out and like laughing together about something that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, that's true. Because we don't often, I mean, Chris and I will watch shows, but like not something that is so far from our reality and any reality or whatever, and just make fun of it.
Yeah. And so I will often assign something that just like pulls people into a place of like, we're on the same playing field that we think this is ridiculous. And what do you think is so ridiculous about it? Well, this is what I think is so ridiculous. Look how that girl is doing this. Look how this guy is like, can you believe she just said that? Like, it becomes a place of I don't know, you're witnessing together in a way that's like light and not high stakes and, you know, it's just easy. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. You keep coming back to like humor and funniness and playfulness. And I think that's something that we just minimize the importance of.
Yes, like I don't know. I don't know what I would do without it. I think it is one of the highest priorities. And so when that is off, then we work really hard to bring that back online.
Well, and they say that like playfulness, they magazine, I don't know, the playfulness and play and silliness is a portal to joy.
Yeah, and not taking things too seriously.
I'll never forget one time we had a date night away and you were like, you're going to jump on the bed. You're going to order Taco Bell at midnight.
Yes.
Maybe go get some cigarettes. Like, I don't know. You're just
Mhm.
like, just go and be silly and play and just
Yes.
don't worry about everything for one night.
Yes.
Something that so Chris and I have celebrated 28 years
Amazing.
together, married. And I was talking with a friend. We were actually on an anniversary trip and we saw a friend who was going through a divorce. And I, always say marriage is complex. People are complex. Like it's so not get married. You should stay married. Like it's just not that simple.
Right.
It's just not that simple. And I said to her, I said, I'm highly aware of my privilege. Well, one, I didn't marry a narcissist, jerk, a-hole, whatever,
Yes.
like to begin with, thank God, right?
Truly.
But I'm also aware that, we have had access to therapy.
Yeah.
We've had access to couples therapy and individual therapy. We have been able to have date nights and date nights away. And, we have respite care professionals in our life. We've had them in our life for over 10 years. We have several right now that have been in our lives for 10 years, 8 years, 6 years that we've held on to. And if we didn't have any of that, if we never got a break, if we never could have date nights away, if I didn't get out to do yoga, if he didn't get out to, be on the water and get exercise, which is so good for our mental and physical health. If we never had therapy, never went to couples therapy, I don't know if we'd be married.
Yeah.
I'm just being really honest. Like, yes, I married a good guy. I think I'm a solid individual. He's a solid individual. But let's also call a spade a spade.
Sure.
We have had a lot of things in our life that contributed to our success.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. And I think it's nice because these days we live in a world full of access, and so a lot of therapists now are like on TikTok or like, I don't know, there's just a lot of accessibility, whether it's like information or books or podcasts. Like there's a lot of resources that I think weren't as accessible before. And so whenever I get a couple, like I won't let them have the excuse that like we can't. I won't let like a couple use the excuse that like we can't, we don't have time, we don't have the resources. Like if you're on your phone at all, you have the resources.
You have the time.
Yes. And so I think I rarely, and this is me living in the South Bay, but I think I don't often get a couple with lack of resources. It's a lack of priority. It's a lack of like, all right, we need to really prioritize sex. We need to really prioritize time together. Even if the date night is at home, it's like I could go to bed or I could talk to my partner, and so it's hard. But not impossible.
What would you say to any of our listeners that are like, I either don't have insurance or, the wait list is too long for me, or it would have to be out of pocket, whatever the actual real obstacles are. Maybe they're working 2 jobs. Maybe they're up all night because they have a medically fragile child or a behaviorally, psychologically fragile child. Like they're just either in a season or their life is so set up that there's just, there isn't that opportunity. And I want to be sensitive to that. And I want to be sympathetic to that. Is there a book, a podcast that you would say, this is something that could help you? Maybe you can't come into the office of any therapist right now, whatever the reasons are, but here are some resources that you can access for free or close to that?
Well, I'll say a lot of therapists will offer like some pro bono. And so, like, a lot of therapists, what they'll do is they'll have a certain number of pro bono cases that they'll take or leave spots open for. And so it's not like out of pocket to ask, in your hunt or search for a therapist, like it's not weird to be like, I need this, please help. Like that's not, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, no, yes, like of course. And so I think that piece is available. And then oftentimes, a lot of times too, that like therapists will, it kind of depends on what you're dealing with. Like they'll have a direct resources and links. Like if you're dealing with something like cancer, very specific, you know what I mean? Like they will have sort of all of those resources like on docket, like ready to go. And it's hard because like the podcasts that I would recommend don't necessarily have anything to do with information. Like sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes it's like maybe you just need to listen to this so you can think about something else and
Yeah.
feel a sense of like this is my personal time, or like I don't know, it's so nuanced. It's hard to like generalize saying like these 5 podcasts are the go-to. It's really like what do you need? And like maybe you need a podcast that's talking about something that makes you come alive again.
Right. And obviously that's specific to that individual.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
many things. Like there's so many podcasts, there's so many resources. Like it really is like you have the world of information at your fingertips.
Do you have any particular thought leaders in the world of marriage and relationships that you really love?
Yes. I think I have my go-tos, you know. George Fowler is always a go-to for me. He's kind of like in the emotional focused therapy world. And anyone that he trusts, I trust. So any of his sort of proteges, he has a few of them. I forget their names at the moment, but I kind of I stick to my guns. I stick to people that I have trusted over the years, and whoever they kind of like bring along, I'm like, okay, I trust their opinion of this person as well.
And is there a book that you love to recommend?
It depends what for. It depends what for. Maybe I would say when I think about couples, the book that I recommend is How We Love.
Oh, yeah. How We Love?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's,
Okay.
I recommend that one because it's an easy read because you only have to read the section that you like once you take the test. And it does a really good job of like incorporating how you grew up. And so to any sort of like newish person to the world of therapy and connecting your history with your present, I think it's like a quick, fast dose of that where you're like, they wrote this about me. They simply wrote this book about me.
Okay, good. Is there anything that you would say steer away from as a couple? Well, I mean, I guess I would like what came to mind is just like apathy, stay away from apathy. That's not really where I was going, but like, I mean, because I know what it's like to feel that, right?
I think as a couple, finding out what is like the marker of like we're off. So like for me and my husband, like a marker of we're off is going to be like we haven't spent any time together laughing. And you can feel it. You can feel the change. You can feel us getting snippety at each other. And so like knowing the mile marker for being off is always the thing that's going to keep us on point. So it's like the one thing that we come back to say like, okay, I think we need to like hang out and I think we need to like laugh together because we're off,
Mm-hmm. Any pep talk that you would give our audience of parents who are, everyone feels like they're doing their best. We're doing our best with what we have, with the amount of energy and time and resources that we have. But any pep talk that you would share with our parents before we go? Chrissy?
I don't know if it would be necessarily a pep talk as much as I would say, like, keep going to figure out where your story ends up, Like, keep pushing to find out the rest of your story.
Don't give up.
But for a specific reason. Like, I believe in, like, there's purpose in this life that you're living. And, like, don't give up on finding out what that is.
Yeah, I agree. I think purpose can come out of our experience. And certainly, that's my case, certainly with creating We Are Brave Together. So it doesn't have to even be related to your journey as, disability parents, but there can be something that arises because of what you're experiencing, a greater purpose, a greater meaning. And I think we're all meant to find it.
Yes. And that it could even be bigger than you ever imagined. Like let's say, like, your kids grow up and they get married and they have their own kids and one of them has a disability. You're like, I have every podcast you could ever need on, like, ready to go, And so it's like your story gets to be the manual for, you don't even know how deep that goes.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's always nice
so good to be together. Good to see you. Thank you for all the time that you spent with me, with Chris and I, with our family. It meant so much. It means so much.
Yeah, anytime. Always here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Thanks so much for listening today. Do us a favor and leave us a review and a rating so that this podcast can get into the ears and the hearts of more and more moms. Did you know that Brave Together podcast is an extension of our nonprofit organization, We Are Brave Together? We Are Brave Together serves an international community of caregiving moms, offering support groups that are virtual and in-person, educational resources, and low-cost weekend retreats. And we have published our first anthology of caregiving stories entitled Becoming Brave Together, Heroic, Extraordinary Caregiving Stories from Mothers Hidden in Plain Sight. It will encourage and validate every parent caregiver. To join us today, go to wearebravetogether.org. Our support and sisterhood awaits you. Brave Together podcast is for entertainment and education purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional care and should not be relied on for medical or mental health advice. The use of any content on our podcast, links, show notes, or on our website is to be done at your own personal risk. Please seek out a professional to assess your own medical or mental health concerns, because we are all beautifully complex and the content of this podcast is for a broad audience.